Are you tired of being sick and tired? Are you tired of feeling like you have no time in your busy life and all you do is work, sleep, eat, maybe watch a little television, having no time to do the things that you really like or enjoy and things that would be fulfilling to you, but instead you feel like you're stuck on this hamster wheel called life? My boyfriend calls it being stuck in the matrix. If this sounds like you, then this is the video for you. I'm Kimani Hall and welcome to my channel Hauling This Together, where we talk about all things personal growth, organization, and productivity. Okay, so in this video we'll be talking about why you should be improving on your time management skills, and I will give you my top 10 tips along with a bonus tip so that you can actually decide and control how you spend your time. Okay, before we get into my top 10 tips for time management, let's talk about why it's important to have this skill called time management. We only have limited time on this earth, and I know it's kind of morbid, it sounds very wrong, but it's the truth. Let's just say it as it is. It's non-renewable. We can't make more time, we can only manage the way we spend our time and actually make it matter more, if that makes sense. It helps you to be more productive as well, so that you don't feel like you're wasting away your day or wasting away your life, and you can actually work on the things that are significant or that are fulfilling. I don't know about you, but for me, whenever I do manage my time better, I feel less lost and confused or stuck in my life, because I'm like, okay, I know how much time I have, I know what I need to do in that time, I know how long it's going to take me to do what I need to do, and so I'm less confused, less flustered, and less stressed. That's another big one. You are less stressed, you are less burnt out, less overwhelmed, which kind of links to that last point. Less stress. Who doesn't want to stress less or not stress at all? Like I don't want to stress. But yeah, and then my final reason for myself why managing my time is so important is that I have better health, mental and physical health, because I'm not stressing so much, I'm not overworking myself, I'm not doing too much and doing all of the wrong things. So I'm not doing busy work, but I'm doing productive work. Okay, so these tips are in no particular order, but let's go on to tip number 1. Don't say yes to everything. And this might seem like a no-brainer, but I think as humans, we hate to disappoint people or feel like, oh, I'm telling them no, I don't want to do this, I'm not interested. And so we tend to say yes to a lot of things that we genuinely don't want to do or we don't have time to do. So this is something that I only recently started doing, and I started going with my gut feeling. So if someone asks me, hey, Kimani, do you want to do this? If I'm not pumped like, yeah, heck yeah, then it's a no. By default, it's a no. So if it's a maybe, or if I have time, I will, or it's a no. You know how they always say, if you have to ask to be invited, then you're not invited. Or if you ask, oh, can I come? And they're like, if you wanna, that's not an invitation. It's the same concept. So if your body's saying, I don't really wanna go, but I could go because I have the time to go, don't say yes. You're not interested. And that will literally clear up your schedule so much, because you're not overcommitting to a bunch of things that literally don't serve you. And instead, you can use that time to do something that does serve you. Last week, my partner asked me, Kimani, do you want to go to this pop-up show? Because he was invited. Now, this pop-up show, everything was on sale, and everything, literally everything, a whole warehouse full of things, everything was below $10. And in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's such a deal. I do want to go. But then my heart was like, yeah, I'm not really interested. And so I just decided not to go, and I ended up using the time to work on my business, which was way more fulfilling for me. My second tip is plan your day. Plan your day using to-do lists or whatever strategy that you think would be best for you. For me, I plan and record everything. So I plan my day, I plan my week, I plan my month, my year, my life. Like everything is pre-planned. So I know every day, this is what I need to be doing today, this is what I need to be doing this week, this is what I need to be doing right now. So it takes out all the guesswork, and instead of when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, okay, I spent half an hour trying to figure out what I need to do with my time, where I need to be, what I need to do. It was planned from before, and I already know that, okay, these are my list of things to do for today, and this is where I should start. It helps me to be so much more productive, so much more organized, and save so much time. I also ensure that I have my priorities set for the day. So I have 1 to 3 things that I prioritize each day that has to get done, and they're listed on my to-do list based on priority. Anything that's left, if I don't have enough time or I feel like I can't do that in that day, then I bump it to another day, or I just simply don't do it, because all the things that are important to me in that moment gets done, and I don't do all the fluff or waste my time on tasks that aren't necessarily important. So to figure out which tasks I should prioritize for the day, I usually go through the process of the Eisenhower matrix, and this pretty much organizes the things that you need to do based on importance and urgency. What you need to do this minute, what you need to delegate, what you need to schedule, and what you need to delete and just forget about. Also, linked to my to-do list for the day, I try to schedule in a few things that are from different aspects of my life using the 7 pillars, which we've talked about in previous videos. So that way, not all my tasks are career-based or finance-based or relationship-based, but they're actually distributed throughout the different segments of my life. My third tip is time blocking or calendar blocking. And I'm told by the internet, of course, that even Elon Musk does this practice. And convenient enough, this is actually what our next video for next week will be about, where I'll show you how I calendar block or time block so that I know how much time I have, how much time I need, and everything that falls in between. So the simple explanation of what this is pretty much having your calendar or your number of hours for the day, and you block out specific hours that you want for specific things that you want to do in that day. That makes sense? So for example, right now in my time blocking session, it's saying that I'm supposed to be filming. What am I doing? I'm filming. When you calendar or time block for the week, it shows you how much time you have, like excess time, to do other things, and it also shows you what you're spending your time to do. Is it something that's practical, fulfilling, enjoyment? Like, what is it that you are spending your time on? Now, the fourth tip is to limit your distractions. So you've created your to-do list, you've said no to a bunch of stuff, you've even created your time blocking, but you're still feeling like you're wasting time doing the things that don't matter, or you don't feel like you have enough time, or things are taking you way too long to complete. This might be because you're distracted. I know for me, that's definitely the case, more times than not. So things like social media, my phone, talking to somebody else who's in the room, watching television while I'm working, these things are huge distractions for me. So when you limit your distractions or remove them completely, it gets you to focus on the work that you have to do or the thing that you're working on. Ultimately, you spend less time because you're more focused on what you're doing instead of being distracted, and 10 hours later you're like, oh, I was working, not scrolling Instagram. The fifth tip is to follow Parkinson's law. Now, Parkinson's law pretty much states that any given task or thing that you have to do that is time bound will take as much time as you give it. If I can film a video in 30 minutes, however, I gave myself 2 hours, I am going to take that 2 hours because I know that I have 2 hours. If you give yourself a goal, say, oh, I want to be a millionaire by age 30, you know that you have until age 30 to be a millionaire. But if you say, I want to be a millionaire in 3 months, maybe it won't happen, but it will make you actually work towards getting it done to the best of your ability in that time. You may have to manipulate yourself a little bit and give yourself a fake deadline. It makes sense because I was submitting assignments in university at 11:58 when it's due at 12. So give yourself a fake deadline. I'm sure if I told myself in university that, okay, Manu, this is due at 8 p.m., I would have had it submitted by 7:58 p.m. My tip number 6. Change your mindset about your time. Let me explain. Whether you see it or not, we're always choosing how to spend our time. Okay, fine. You need to go to work or go to school, 9 to 5, whatever your hours are, and that's kind of set, right? Fine. I get that. You came home from work and you have a lot to do. You need to cook dinner for your kids. You need to work on a project for work or whatever it is you need to do. You need to work on a skill, a hobby, get some more sleep, or read a book, whatever it is that you say you need to do. But instead of doing any of that, when you get home from work, you're scrolling Instagram, watching Netflix, and playing video games. You are ultimately choosing the way you spend your time. Whether you see it or not, you are prioritizing watching Netflix, playing video games, or whatever it is that you're currently doing, scrolling on Instagram, instead of actually doing the things that you said you would prioritize. But then you're also the same person saying, oh, I don't have time to read my book. I don't have time to learn something new, when you could be listening to a podcast, reading a book, or watching an educational video instead of scrolling on the internet. So instead of saying you don't have time to do something or to do anything, instead say you're not making time to do this or to do that. So switch the narrative and change your mindset about time. Stop making excuses. And tip number 7 is work smarter, not harder. And I know you're like, yeah, obviously that's okay. That's a no-brainer. But for real, work smarter, not harder. When you work harder, it takes up a lot of your time because you're busy working hard. However, when you work smarter, that task or project or whatever it is that you need to do, chances are it will take half the time that you would take working hard instead of smart. 3 of the main ways that I try to work smarter and not harder is by automating, delegating, and following the 80-20 rule. Now, okay, fine, you need to be posting on your business page 10 times per day. Please don't post 10 times per day, but let's just say that's what you need to do. Why not automate it? Why not set up a posting schedule and use an automation system to have it done? Delegate. And I know you're probably thinking, delegation sounds so expensive. Like, I have to pay somebody to do this, I have to pay someone to do that. But it doesn't have to be that case. Delegation can be so much simpler than we realize sometimes. Simply asking your partner to wash the dishes after you're finished cooking is one form of delegation. Making your kids clean up their mess instead of you having to do it, that is delegation. Asking a friend, anybody around you, to help you with something instead of you trying to figure it out on your own, that is delegation. Having someone else pick up your kid from school because they're going that direction anyways instead of you having to drive for half an hour is delegation. And then the 80-20 rule of working smarter, not harder, pretty much just tells us that we should focus on the 20% of things that will have the 80% impact. Okay, my number 8 tip is actually one of my favorite things that I've been doing for the past couple of months, since January of this year actually, and that is doing a self audit. When you do a self audit, it sounds complicated and it sounds too structured, but it's really not. It's pretty much documenting what you spend your time doing so that you can see where you're wasting your time, where you're actually being productive, being busy, or whatever the case is, and where you can save some time. So what I like to use to track my time and see where I'm spending my time is Toggle Track. And it really calls me out sometimes when I'm like, okay, it says that I've been doing things for 9 hours, but when I look at the things that I've been doing and the things that I recorded, I've actually only been doing productive work for 4 of those 9 hours. So what exactly did I do with that 5 hours? And it actually shows you what you do, what you spent your time with, and it gives you a summation at the end of the week and sends you an email with your report. It also tracks your idle time, so time that you're supposed to be productive and you're not being productive, or if you leave the timer on for however long, then it actually sends you an email saying, oh, your timer has been running for the past 8 hours. I know I'm not the only one who will be doing whatever I'm doing, going through my day, and I check the time and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 7 p.m. Where did that time go? Okay, my tip number 9 is to stop multitasking. And I know you're probably saying, Kimberly, I want to save time, not waste time, and so I should be multitasking. But But when you think you're multitasking, what you're actually doing is task switching. Okay, so you're focusing on trying to do this project, you're typing up some information, but you're also trying to catch up on Too Hot to Handle on Netflix. What you're actually doing is switching between watching Too Hot to Handle and actually typing down your information. But if you were focusing on only doing your report or whatever it is that you're actually typing up, then you'd be so focused that you'd actually get it done way faster than if you were actually watching something while you're trying to do it, because you're switching between one thing and the other and your focus takes a while to get back to where it needs to be. So instead of watching your movie while you're doing your report, how about do your report, then you can watch your movie as your reward for being productive. Now to tip number 10, which is batching similar tasks. Now, task batching is something that I do as well that saves me a lot of time. Batching similar tasks, so you do them together instead of having them spaced out. So right now I'm actually batching my tasks. So I need to film some YouTube videos. Today, in this one filming session, I've actually filmed 3 YouTube videos and a reel, because I got my hair done, I got my makeup done, I got showered and dressed. So instead of doing that entire get ready, get set up with backdrops and lights and my camera and everything, instead of going through that 3 times for the week or 3 times for the month or however often I want to do this, I just do everything in one sitting, and I know that all my content for the month or for the week or for however long is actually done, instead of me doing this same exact process 5 times. I just do it once. Another thing is my errands. Now, if you have 10 errands to run in one day or in a week or whatever the case is, if you go to the supermarket, let's use this as an example. If you go to the supermarket, you don't go there, pick up eggs and come back home and be like, oh, I need bread. Go back to the supermarket, pick up the bread, come back home and be like, oh, I need butter. You don't do that. You go to the supermarket, you pick up everything that you need, and you head back home. So it's the same concept with my errands, so that I can go home and know that I've done all the things that I need to get done in that day or in that week or whatever the situation is. I don't like to go outside, and so for me, it's in that week. The next thing that I like to batch is meal prep. I've only started doing this for a couple of weeks now, and I completely love it. And instead of cooking dinner, breakfast, and lunch every single day, I only do it twice. So I only cook on Sundays and Thursdays, because I cook all the things that I will need from that point until the next point where I'm in the kitchen. Anything that comes in between is because I'm feeling for it in the moment, or it just wasn't planned for. Okay, so those are my top 10 tips, and now the bonus tip. My bonus tip is take time to recharge, to reset, to relax, whatever that means for you. If you're just going, at some point you're gonna feel drained, you're gonna be burnt out, you're going to just crash. So ensure that in your time of being productive and managing your time so well that you have time for so many other things, ensure that you're also managing yourself and ensuring that you are being taken care of, because without you being okay, it doesn't make sense how much time you made in your day, because you'll be shortening your time overall on this earth. Just saying. Now, these are my top 10 tips, along with a bonus tip of ways in which you can make more time so that you can do the things that you want to do. So my top 10 time management tips. Okay, so just to do a quick recap of these are my top 10 tips for time management so that you can make more time to do the things that you actually want to do in your life. Tip number 1, don't say yes to everything. You're allowed to say no. Tip number 2, plan your week or your day ahead using to-do lists. Tip number 3, ensure that you're time blocking or calendar blocking in order to know what you need to do when you need to do it. Tip number 4, limit your distractions so that you can focus on what you're doing so that you can be done faster. Tip number 5 is Parkinson's law, which states that whatever you have to do will take as long as you say that it will take. And so create smaller deadlines so that you can do things faster than having it drawn out. Tip number 6 is to change your mindset about time. So instead of saying you don't have time to do something, just realize that you're just not making time for for it. Tip number 7, work smarter, not harder. Tip number 8, conduct a self audit so that you can see where you're spending your time, where time is being wasted, where you're being productive, and so that you can actually choose what to take out of your life and what to add. Number 9, stop multitasking, because instead you're just task switching and you're not actually doing focused work. So it's taking you a lot longer than it would take if you were actually focused on one thing. Tip number 10, batch similar tasks. Things that I batch are filming, errands, and actually meal prepping. And then my bonus tip is take time to recharge so that you can be your best self to actually take on the things that you need to take on in your life. So those were my top 10 tips for time management so that you can make more time to do the things that you want to do in your life. Let me know in the comment section what combination or which of these you're going to do or you have been doing in your life. Okay, so that's it for this video. If you like this video, then you'll probably like next week's video, which will be going into how I time block, why I time block, which you kind of got an idea of why I time block in this video. But I'll be going through the steps, the process, and how exactly from point A to point B. That will be the video uploaded next week, so you might want to stick around for that. That's it for now. Just remember, do something today that will help you to be a little bit better than you were yesterday.